G'day class, let me ask you a question. What brought you to this video? Was it free will? Was it random chance? Did I personally send you a link holding you virtually hostage? Wrong. All of those answers are wrong. It was the movement and position of the stars, and quite frankly, you're all getting Fs for not guessing that immediately. As the title of the video says, we're going to be talking about the pseudoscience of astrology. But first, let's talk about what pseudoscience actually is. Science is based on empirical, verifiable evidence, and the claims made by scientists are ones that can be falsified. In fact, lots of studies focus on evidence that would falsify a hypothesis and then change their views to suit the observations. Pseudoscience, on the other hand, makes claims that cannot be falsified, then only looks for evidence that supports those claims instead of gathering unbiased information. If your hippie uncle says that his ex-girlfriend's sister always cuts her finger off at the full moon, how are you going to disprove it was the moon that did it? You can tell him all you want that she's just a terrible chef who can't be trusted with knives, but you can't prove that it wasn't the moon. Astrology makes the claim that the day-to-day movements and relative positions of planets, stars, and other celestial bodies have direct and predictable consequences on human behaviour, current affairs, and natural disasters. So if your handsy yoga instructor cops a feel while he's showing you his favourite position, that doesn't mean he's a sex offender, it just means that he's a Taurus and Venus was waxing. Astrology originated in Babylon over 2,500 years ago, several centuries before we discovered that the Earth was round, and over 2 millennia before we discovered that it revolved around the sun. So this was a time of highly advanced scientific thought. The Babylonians came up with the idea of the zodiac, the Greeks split it into 12, but the Western version was popularized by Ptolemy's Tetrabiblios in the 2nd century, giving us the horoscopes we know and love today. Now, I'm sure you're all familiar with horoscope predictions, you know, those little sections in the newspaper that tell you exactly when and where you're going to stub your toe throughout the day. Well, apparently it's a little more complicated than that, which plays into why so many people believe it, right? So your date of birth determines your zodiac sign, and each one is supposedly linked with personality traits and characteristics. For example, if you're a Leo, you're dramatic, if you're a Sagittarius, you're adventurous, and if you're a Scorpio, you're a massive dick. A horoscope is basically just a chart of the planets and stars at the current point in time, taking into account different positions and angles and stuff. So the idea is that by studying these angles and positions, you can essentially read the future. Just like any other fortune-telling method, this generally relies on what's called cold reading, which if you're not familiar, is basically just throwing a bunch of general statements out there that could reasonably be applied in a bunch of different circumstances. That way, the specifics can be applied by the reader, who statistically will have some sort of connection with the statement, no matter how vague it is. It'd be like if I said, "I see a cute animal in your aura." Now, you may not own a pet, but you probably know someone who does. Here's an example of a daily horoscope. You may meet someone who has different opinions and perspectives than you do. That's not a prediction. That's a fact that a 10-year-old could tell you. Or how about this one, that tells me that I want to have fun and that I shouldn't get fat? It goes without saying that a huge amount of people actually believe this, so let's do a little class activity to see if it works, shall we? Now, I'm pretty sure I'm preaching to the choir if you're watching this video in the first place, but feel free to play along. One of these horoscopes is for Libra, and the other one is for Gemini. Can you tell which is which? If you guessed either of them, then you're wrong. They're both for Capricorn. Let's try another. Which one of these is Aries, and which one of these is Leo? Sadly, I've lied to you again. You see, this one is one that I made up using Barnum statements, and this one is from a fortune cookie. Now, I know that one guy making fun of something doesn't disprove it, even if I am wearing a lab coat. But thankfully, other people have already done my work for me.
Of course. I wish I could read.
This absolute legend, Dr. Sean Carlson, conducted a study in 1981 that involved professional astrologers, which apparently exist. He got them to try to match scientifically accepted personality profiles to natal astrological charts in blind trials. In a shock to absolutely no one, the professional astrologers performed no better than random chance. I'll link to more information in the description, but the point is that the study was put together really well, and no one's been able to provide any evidence to contradict his results. So, I know I've just railed on astrology a fair bit, but I actually have no problem with people that believe in it. It's completely harmless to check your horoscope in the morning, or to ask people what their star sign is when you first meet them. What I do have a problem with is the people that capitalize on this by shilling useless crap to gullible 40-year-olds. Every pseudoscience has a scam, and even though this one is pretty mild compared to some of the others, it still pisses me off that there are so many websites out there that say that they'll improve your life or make you a better person if you just buy their shitty night sky printouts with randomly generated cold reads. Take Astrology.com, the home of this guy with binary flying out of his skull like some astrological cyborg. They have all the normal free horoscopes and quizzes, but then they have a store page where you can buy a 1-hour psychic astrology reading from robot scam artist Steve Jobs for $200. Like, what is that money going to get you? Is he going to tell you what the fucking stars are thinking? If $200 is too much for you, then don't worry. For $110, he'll look at a picture of your coworker's face and tell you how big his dick is. As if that wasn't objectionable enough, they also sell these romance compatibility reports that'll supposedly tell you how good your relationship's gonna be. I feel genuinely sorry for anyone that buys one of those and actually believes it. Like, what are you gonna do? Break up with your partner just because this piece of paper says that the stars weren't aligned properly when you were born? And there's no way these people don't know what they're doing. I mean, look at this guy. He wasn't programmed to believe in astrology. So there you have it, class. Believe in star signs and horoscopes if you want, but don't spend your money on this crap. There's some advice from your pseudoscience teacher. Have a good one.